probably one of the most frightening experiences to have is to represent yourself in court, and walking up those steps to the courthouse because it's your legal right doesn't make it any less frightening.
So Candy, what is the ProSeProject?
The ProSeProject actually started out as a blog posting, kind of a way for me to catalog my thoughts about what I was going through with the lawsuit that I've been in for the last 3 years.
3 years?
3 years.
How did your lawsuit go 3 years?
The first time around, we went through litigation with my company, and we were suing an investor for breach of agreements. And after about 6 months, the attorney that had helped me bring it to court said it's going to cost about another $100,000, and I didn't have that, so he had to step down as counsel. And I could not find replacement counsel, and you have to keep going. If you don't, you lose your case. So I ended up filing motions and moving forward, still looking for replacement counsel, but most attorneys want that big retainer, and we just didn't have it. So 3 weeks before trial, and after filing, I think about 40 motions altogether, which is like writing term papers every week, the judge ruled in favor of my investor because I was representing my company, ProSe.
Well, what exactly is ProSe? Explain what that is for people who haven't gone through that.
ProSe is where you represent yourself in court. It means you do not have an attorney present, and you act as the attorney in that case.
You've been in the media industry for a long time and have a lot of experience in the media. How has that helped you with your case?
I think it's assisted me in being more vocal, and instead of cowering behind the damages that were done, and we lost a lot. I mean, our case, you feel compelled to want to fight because it's entrepreneurs in this country. That's your baby. You put everything into it. You put every penny that you make right back into your company. And for me to lose that was a significant loss, not just for the assets. It was a loss for what I did. It was my day-to-day, my job, and it was who I was. So to lose that type of interaction with the public, to be a media person and a publisher, this is a great opportunity to kind of pick that back up and know that you were a voice back then for so many, and maybe that this is a great chance to be a voice for so many others that don't have one.
Now, have you ever, as far as going to court, I mean, wouldn't you rather just settle? Wouldn't that be an easier way to go?
I started out that way at the beginning of this year. We even proposed a settlement to the opposing side, and they declined. We had offered to settle at 90% of the proceeds going to charities, and they didn't take it. So to me, it becomes a big fight. It's kind of like if you have $100,000 and they have $100,000, then you can pay to watch two attorneys fight. And to me, that's very distressing, because then it's no longer about the issues anymore. It's about who can outwit the other and who can spend more on legal proceedings. And that is where most Americans really don't have access to the justice system. Most of them are outpriced. And this is why the project is so important for me, is unless you go through something and realize just how hard it is and what we're lacking for resources in this country to benefit people that really do need access to the legal justice system, then until you've gone through it, you don't really realize what the deficiencies are. And for me, those deficiencies are having access to what the law means, to have access to the system and be able to ask questions without worrying that you're going to have to spend $30,000 just to come up with the answer.
Would you like to see the law changed?
Absolutely.
And what would that mean if the law was changed?
For me, to have every individual have greater access to the courthouse, which means not just being able to walk up the steps and see the inside. It means having equal access to the legal system so that you can represent yourself or be with a party who's representing themselves and be taken seriously. And secondly, to have access to information. Right now, information is hoarded. The attorneys don't want you to know what they know. That's why they're paid so much money. And it's not that we all want to be an attorney. Nobody really wants to see the inside of a courthouse. They don't really want to be there. But if you're forced to be there or happen to need to be there, then you should have some way of tapping into those resources without going bankrupt.
There's so many attorneys in our country. How come you can't find one for your case?
There are so many attorneys in this country, and those attorneys work on fees. And so I'm one case of millions, and my case, like those millions, may never get heard, and most people are turned away. Attorneys that I spoke to that said, I'd love to help you. We love your case. You have a strong case. We don't have any room in our pro bono or take it on contingency for you. And unfortunately, you're like 20 people that come into our office every week. And that's disturbing. It's disturbing because we have so many attorneys out there, but our system is driven by money. It's very financially, it's what dictates who gets heard in court and who doesn't. And if you notice, most of the court cases making headlines are bankrolled. They are funded by major firms or very, very wealthy individuals that are bringing frivolous cases, to each other. And that has nothing to do with the rest of this country. That has everything to do with a small percentage, and that small percentage is those who can afford it. Our country has the highest per capita attorneys in the world, and yet we have the least effective system for individuals being represented in court. And
so what do you think about the effectiveness of our current system?
I don't think it's effective at all. If you have the money, you can go haggle with someone. If you don't, then you instantly lose. And I think that's a very unfair system. I know it needs a great deal of reform, but it also needs a lot of individuals being able to step up and speak out and say, I need access to the system. I need access to the courts. I need access to attorneys that is affordable.